Hi everybody and welcome back to another Legends of Runeterra video. We just barely got the card reveals here for the day. We're running pretty I guess, close to the newest expansion date, and so I imagine they're going to be finishing up these card reveals over the next couple of days. We'll be seeing probably who the new champion is going to be in 2 days, but we'll know who it is tomorrow based on the color and the region that they're going to reveal. So, yeah, without further ado, let's start out and analyzing these cards a little bit. So the first card here is a 2-drop Poro from Piltover and Zon called the Patched Poro Bot. This was in the at least the artwork was. I can't remember if it's the same name. This was in the tutorial for Legends of Runeterra. So like the card art has existed for a little while. So I wonder if they just kind of, gave it to fans, because there's been a little bit of like rumblings, I guess a few rumblings about this Poro and whether or not it was going to be an actual playable card, and it is. Yeah, and it looks kind of interesting. So while in hand, I have a random keyword that changes each round. When I'm summoned, grant me this keyword. So we got a little bit of randomness going on, right? And we get a little bit of synergy with Porodex and Freljord and Heart of Fluff. So we can kind of pick and choose which keyword we want to play, and can potentially get a really good keyword for our Heart of Fluff that's going to help us win the game. So something like Regeneration could be really good. Something like Challenger could be really good if you've got Overwhelm already. Elusive, probably not the best keyword because the Poros from Piltover and Zon are already elusive, but this could definitely see play, and I'm definitely going to be experimenting with it to see if it actually is a viable card. The 2/3 stat line is okay as well. 3 health is pretty good. It's going to allow you to block into most units at the same mana cost as the Patched Poro Bot, and is also going to be able to be resilient to a lot of spells out there in order to take it out. And it's kind of not very what's the word? It's not super threatening, and so the opponent might not actually want to deal with it. So I mean, yeah, I think this could be a fun card to be playing around and also building decks around. It's kind of interesting that Piltover and Zon has kind of become the secondary Poro region. It got a Poro cannon last expansion as well, so there's quite a few options for Poros in Piltover and Zon, and that kind of looks like where they are kind of gearing this sort of Poro deck to fit into is a Freljord Piltover Zon, and they're really trying to make Poro, it looks like a viable archetype. But yeah, kind of cool ways to build around this card, and the certain RNG that could be fun to play around. Alright, the next card here is a 2-cost fast speed spell called Nopeify from Ionia. Keep that in mind. This is stop a fast or slow speed spell that costs 3 or less. So this is kind of interesting because it denies from this region as well. This is pretty much a weak deny because we're only allowed to deny cards that have 3 or less mana cost. Don't really know how I feel about this card. I think this is going to be kind of a meta-dependent card and a tech card in certain metas. So right now, I don't know that this would be a very useful card in the meta. Besides maybe going against Bilgewater and things like Make It Rain. So for example, in the meta right now, we've got Bilgewater, we've got basically Targon, and we've got War Mothers. Targon's got a lot of, I would say, spells that this could also interact with, like Zenith Blade, things like that with Lee Sin. It could also interact with denies, or I guess it can interact with denies. But basically, we've got Zenith Blade from Targon. But then if you look at Mana Ramp decks and War Mother's decks, this wouldn't actually be able to deny a War Mother's. And so, kind of depending on the meta, and depending on the heavy-hitting spells that are going to be running around in the meta, I think you're going to be including this card or not including this card, because you need deny in order to deny War Mothers. So keep that in mind. Upcoming here in the meta, we could see Soraka, we could see Tahm Kench as a very, very popular and potentially powerful deck. It's kind of hard to tell until we actually start playing it, but all of those spells, or most of them at least, I might be forgetting, but most of those spells are 3 or less. Both of them from Bilgewater and from Targon, with Soraka and Tahm Kench respectively. Respectively. So we've got like the Bayou Brunch, we've got the healing cards that are slow speed, all of those are 3 or less. And so this could be a really good meta tech for those types of decks, especially if they end up being strong. We could see this as a very kind of low committal spell Doesn't cost a lot of mana, or we could deny potentially ways to level up those champions. So this could be kind of important in a meta like that, and you would include it into your decks that have their Ionia, of course, in order to stop Tomkins and Soraka from leveling up, or from getting win condition out of Star Spring. So keep that in mind. Alright, Trevor Snoozebottom, a 3-drop. This is a support card, so we create an attacking Mumble Sprite with my supported ally stats. The Mumble Sprite is ephemeral, looks like, and it's also elusive, so that's kind of cool because this is synergy with something like maybe Stirred Spirits, where we get some Shadow Isles action with these ephemeral cards and make ephemeral possible, I guess, archetype, ephemeral support archetype with Ionia and Shadow Isles. There are a lot of powerful cards from, or late game finishing cards from Shadow Isles like Commander Ledros that we could be supporting with the Trevor Snoozebottom. Our Mumble Sprite all of a sudden is, I think, a 9/4 unit, or 9/6 maybe. 9/6 I think is what Commander Ledros is. This is potentially a very good finishing card in those types of decks. I don't know that you necessarily play this card early on in the game. You get more value out of it the later the game goes, and the later you can get these powerful units down in order to attack with them. That's kind of how I see it. It's got no attack. It's got 3 health, so it's basically going to get 1 attack off at round 3. You can block really easily into this with a powerful unit because it's not dealing damage to you. And so, yeah, I can see this coming out as a late game finishing card along with something like Commander Ledros in a Shadow Isles deck. So kind of an interesting card. I'll definitely try to create decks around this because it does seem kind of fun. It does seem like it fits well with Shadow Isles. Alright, let's look at the last card. We got the University of Piltover. Round start, we discard our hand and we create 3 random cards in hand and grant them fleeting. Alright, so this just looks like a Jinx enabler, which is super cool. So the round start, we're discarding our hand, so if Jinx is out, Jinx is leveling up automatically, but you won't get a rocket this round. But then we're creating kind of 3 random cards in hand, which is kind of cool, right? I don't know how the order works in this yet. It might have kind of shown in the video. I don't know if we draw a card first or if it discards first. I kind of am erring on the side of this discarding first and then we draw a card, but I'm not for sure. It could go either way. But we're creating 3 random cards in hand, which is like super random. Could be good, could be bad, right? But I kind of see this running exclusively viably in a Jinx deck, because at the round start we're discarding, we're going to get a rocket each time that we discard, right? And so we have that available to us at the beginning of the round, a card that's dealing 4 damage to the enemy nexus and 1 damage to all of the enemies. So that's going to be reliably created each round. We don't have to discard them ourselves, and then we could potentially have some pretty good units or spells that we can play with the fleeting cards that it's creating. So it seems like a pretty fun card. I don't know how viable it's going to be until I can actually play it and see how it works. I really only see the only champion working with this being Jinx. We might be able to get Draven to work okay with it within kind of a Draven Jinx deck, but with this card it kind of seems like Jinx is going to be the only viable option. It'd be kind of interesting to see if Victor's got some sort of discard synergy as well, but we'll see. Kind of interesting. Yep, so that's about it. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks.